Hi, welcome to the Get Ready with God podcast. My name is Julie Taylor and I am your host, and I am not God, obviously. I'm not an expert. I'm not even a scriptorian. I'm literally just a girl sitting in front of a microphone, hoping God is real. The Get Ready with God podcast is the daily devotional podcast to help you see divinity in every day. Okay, if I'm going to get on here and talk about all the dark, hard times, I feel like I also have to talk about the breakthroughs, right? Because I can't only paint the picture of suffering, even though I am addicted to suffering, and that's actually a whole nother episode. But divinity in every day showed up again this week in a really big way, specifically surrounding this podcast. This podcast, and actually everything that I do, who I am as a person, kind of makes some people upset. And I don't mean that in like a pick me type of way. But what's been really interesting to me is I've been on the internet a long time. So I knew there would be negativity. And to be very fair, like not a lot has come to me. So I don't want to paint some picture like, oh, poor me. I mean, I don't read Reddit, so you can go check that. But what's been really fascinating to me is that the resistance that I have received and the disapproval that I have received around this podcast, around my book, and around me and who I am has been from not who I expected. There's always like the people who have like left religion and they don't like that I've decided to come back. Like I get some of those. But for the most part, the people who have hurt me the most, and maybe it's just this is what hurts the most. What hurts the most is being so close. Is that a song? Is that a country song? What hurts the most is that people from my own community are the ones to disapprove of me and to say that I'm not good enough, my faith isn't strong enough, or that I'm not doing things the right way. And that just hurts because I feel like I am sacrificing a lot to be able to show up in this space genuinely and authentically. And to have that criticized and to have like my faith questioned, it just doesn't feel great. It's been kind of a punch in the face repeatedly. And it's only going to increase, I think, as my book comes out. But there's just been a lot of punches in the face around me and what I share. And it's come from the people who I didn't anticipate. And there's also a lot of love and support. And so I don't want to paint like a skewed picture. Like a lot of people are so kind and the reviews are so nice and the support is great. And I genuinely appreciate it so much. I was already terrified to start this podcast and to come out as a Christian and a person of faith because I was scared. Okay. I don't have to defend myself. I felt scared around it. And it sounds so dramatic, but it required like a lot of courage and work on my end to be brave enough to come and say anything about any of this. I've lived in secret for like the last 2 years of like my secret faith life because I just didn't want to be known and I was scared. Okay. So that's where I've been at. And I was just feeling the weight of it a lot and feeling really unsure about continuing on and if this is even something that I should be doing. I don't mean to victimize all of this, but it's hard to keep all of this going on top of like my job and my family and everything. And so I have to weigh out regularly, is this sacrifice and effort the right thing to do? Anyways, it's all been coming up this week. And I just one morning in particular, I was meeting my boss and we were going to ride up to an event together and I was sitting in the parking lot just waiting for her and I just was like really overwhelmed with like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? I'm scared. I don't want to do this. And maybe it's not the right thing to do any of this. Maybe I should just shut up. But I listened to my anthem, which is Without Me by Eminem. And I screamed every word. And I just thought, no, you know what? I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. So I kind of like gave myself this pep talk of like, no, I actually feel like I'm supposed to keep doing this. So I'm going to. And then we went to this event. And the keynote speaker was Raquel. And you might know her on Instagram. She's Raquel, the capacity expert. And she's a therapist and she works in HR in the corporate world. And in the last few months, she's really blown up on Instagram with talking about capacity, but she's also talking about mental health in a way that is contrary to popular culture. I found her a few months ago and I'm obsessed with her. I feel like she's saying so much of what I need to hear and what I want my kids to hear and what I want the world to hear. And she's doing it. And she was the keynote speaker at this event. And her keynote was incredible. It was so honest. And she just talked about the backlash that she's getting and how this isn't a popular narrative that she's sharing. And I had never even processed it like that because I'm such a fan of her. And I just feel like she's the smartest woman who's ever had a microphone. And so I'm over here as a fan just being like, yes, obviously. Like, who would not like what she's saying? And she shared that she's been getting a lot of backlash. Anyway, there were several things that she said in this keynote that really were transformative for me, but also just her existing as a person on this stage doing something that's scary and contrary to popular culture and requires a level of courage and sacrifice was so inspiring to me. And it's different than my message or what I'm going for. And we're obviously different people in different situations, but it was the exact brand of inspiring that I needed, that it felt like divinity in my day. I was able to talk with Raquel for a little bit after, and I asked her, I was like, do you ever miss the corporate world? And she was like, oh, I still work full time. I'm on PTO doing this keynote. And that was just like another level for me because I have a full-time job and I like my full-time job and I do this very much on the side. And anyway, just like really specific things of like getting to talk to someone who's successfully building a message that requires sacrifice and courage. And she's scared and she's receiving negativity, but she's doing it because she knows she needs to do it, but she's doing it aligned with her life. Like it really felt like a divine placement of here's someone who's doing something similar. And I found myself so grateful that she was doing it because it's helping me. And if she wasn't brave and if she wasn't willing, then she wouldn't be helping me and the hundreds of thousands of other people that she's helping. But it was just a reminder to me that we're going to feel sabotaged. We're going to sabotage ourselves. We're going to feel like, does any of this matter? A lot. We're going to receive negativity. We're going to receive criticism. And the courageous action is to stay open and to stay willing. I also believe in quitting when it's the time to quit. But the only way to stay safe from criticism and judgment is to stay in bed. And you'll still get criticized and judged, but just a little quieter, because you're not out of bed to hear it. So that day, getting to hear from Raquel, getting to meet Raquel and chatting with her about her experience and her life and her goals really, 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 really helped me. And so I guess I'm just saying to you that you don't know. You don't know who you're helping. And I know it's scary. And a lot of times I don't want to be here either. But I think we have to. So I think we have to keep trying. I think the world needs us. The world needs your voice. It's cheesy. So cheesy. I felt like it had to be sung. So anyway, I just feel like I need to share my divinity in every day with you. And this was a big one. And it's a big one after a season of, hard and quiet. And it really felt specific for me. And it felt like something I wanted to share with you is that the people that we all look at as successful or confident or called or whatever, most of them are also scared, receiving negativity, and don't want to do it a lot of days. But think about how much they're helping. Think about if your favorite author never wrote their book because they were too scared. Think about if your favorite music artist never submitted their song because they were too scared. Think about if your favorite artist never painted their picture because they were too scared. We wouldn't have the gifts that we need that are so transformative for us. And so we too have to be brave enough to create and brave enough to submit our offering and brave enough to add our voice, even when it's not received well. We have to keep trying. So let's keep rooting for each other. Love you so much. Bye.